大家好，歡迎翻到泳之後，今日咧有我 Wing 啦，亦都我好朋友Jacob Lee。Hi Jacob，Hi, how are
Hi,
you?
how's it going?
Yeah,
Thank you
thank you
for
for
having me today.
thank you for taking the time. Jacob 咧就係LA 而家嘅District Attorney DA，咁咧就我就問下佢係 DA 係做啲乜啦？咁最緊要咧，因為佢而家咧就會去選呢個嚟緊2024 3月5號嘅Judge 嘅法官喺 LA 法官，咁咧佢候選人嚟嘅，我哋咁同佢傾下偈啦。Hi, welcome to joining us. I know you're very busy. Thank you for taking time to share, about your campaign and everything. How about first of all, tell me something about your background and what you do.
Sure, absolutely. First off, I really appreciate you just setting this up. I am running for judge this year. I mean, district attorney's office. I've been a district attorney for over 10 years now.
Oh, wow. You know,
I'll
fifth,
keep these in short sentences, so I think you wanted to translate.
yeah, Jacob 咧就話佢就做咗呢個 district attorney 已經差唔多10年啦。我覺得即係我第一次見到佢咧就係 judge 嘅fundraising party 啦。我見到佢話佢候選人 judge 喎，我第一句就話哇，點解你咁後生嘅？因為通常選 judge 咧都要比較年紀大啲啦咁樣啦。不如我哋又問下佢係 first time I see you and at the judge fundraising party. I remember you told me you running for the judge and all that. First question I asked you, wow, you're so young, right?
I
How do you do that? How do you
I
achieve
am
this?
young.
Yeah, yeah. How do you achieve this? I know it's not easy.
Yeah, I am young, but the thing is, age really is a number, and it really depends on your experience. Professionally and personally, I do believe I have both, and I want to make sure that that we have good judges on the bench. I believe I can be that, and I want to make sure that LA is safe, especially because I'm also the father of two children, and I want to make sure that my children grow up in a safe LA. And right now, we have a very important decision to make, and the judges we pick really do matter.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. Yeah, Jacob 咧就話佢因為佢係後生，但係咧年齡唔係一個問題，而且係一個數字嚟嘅。最緊要係有個經驗啊嘛。咁佢經驗豐富，佢亦都好 concern LA 啦，因為而家 LA 真係好多罪案啊。咁佢亦都有2個小朋友，好細㗎咋，一個6個月，一個就幾歲嘅啫。咁佢咧都係即係爹哋啦，咁所以佢咧就好 concern，就係都好想幫好多人，令到 LA 比較即係安全啲啦。I appreciate your help and effort because I have 3 kids too. And my kids much older. They're in college already. So you have a long way to go. So you do really have to, even doesn't matter how old they are, we still have to protect them, right? So how do you your DA, right? But how about you explain to us like what you do when you're DA and what's your job and how do you from this job and going to run for the judge?
Definitely. So, I'll keep answering these questions little by little to help you translate. And I really appreciate you doing that, by the way, because interviewing and translating, doing two things is very difficult, but I applaud you for what you're doing now. Um, so I've been a DA for over 10 years, and during that entire time, I've been fighting for justice for our victims. Um, and before I answer your question, if you don't mind, I want to briefly talk about why I became a DA in the first place, because I have a very strong passion for justice.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I became a DA to begin with is because of my upbringing. I was born in South Korea, but came to Los Angeles at the age of 1 year old. And when my parents immigrated to Los Angeles, shortly thereafter, they were robbed multiple times. My mother was robbed twice on 2 separate occasions. My father was robbed once at gunpoint. I was actually with my mother during one of those robberies, but I was too young to remember what had happened. Um, is only a few years later that my parents told me about what had happened. And the first question I asked was, did they catch the people who robbed them? My parents said no. I asked why, and they said it's because they never reported the crimes to the police. They were intimidated by the police who neither looked like them nor spoke their language, and they were just intimidated by the criminal justice system. I wanted to change that by becoming a voice for people like my parents.
Wow, okay, that's a very touching story. Jacob 咧就話點解佢會做呢個attorney 啦，同埋個DA，因為咧佢就好細個嚟到，即係喺韓國1歲啊。咁佢爹哋媽咪咧嚟到咧冇幾耐咧就俾人打劫，唔係一次有幾次喎。咁但係咧次次咧仲要係有支嘅 gun point 咁指住佢啦，喺個槍度指住佢。咁咧就但係佢哋冇報警，因為佢哋好驚呢個警察啦，亦都語言問題啦，咁變咗咧Jacob 咧，因為咁咧就好想有公平同埋公正，希望幫到啲人咧會發聲嘅。Yeah, so that's pretty scary experience. Yeah, I can kind of relate because I'm from Hong Kong too. When I first came over, I don't have bad experience like that, but the language barrier we have to kind of used to it, right? So and also I don't have kids, and your parents have a young kid like that, like you, and just I cannot imagine. It might be so stressful. Yeah. So
That being feeling intimidated by the criminal justice system is something that a lot of immigrant families go through. But really, even if you're not an immigrant, at some point in most people's lives, especially in Los Angeles, people have felt that way about the police and about the whole court system. And that's what I wanted to change. I wanted to be that representation in the system that where I can give back to the community, be the voice for people who were intimidated and felt like they lacked a voice. So that's why I became a deputy district attorney. I went to law school for that purpose, to dedicate my life to public service. I've been doing that for over a decade, and now I want to be a judge because I can give back to the community better as a judge, especially with the direction that LA has been going in the past few years. We need LA to be safer. We need judges who are stronger on the bench and who can keep LA safe, because the judges we elect really do matter. Um, and I believe, at least in my race, where I am running against 3 criminal defense attorneys, that we need strong judges who know when enough is enough, but at the same time has the heart of compassion to give people second chances when necessary, which I do all the time, even in my job.
OK，yeah，咁Jacob 咧就話因為佢都讀過好多law 啦，咁亦都有多過10年時間做呢個DA 啦，咁佢咧就因為想更加幫到多啲人，咁咧個 judge 呢個 position 咧就會俾多啲力量佢啦，可以再幫多啲人去爭取呢個公平啦、公義咁樣啦。咁 so okay, if you become the judge, what's your policy? How are you going to change? I know right now it kind of a mess. How are you going to fix it? Or how are you going to help people to raise their voice?
So I'm a DA and I'm in court all the time. I was in court this very morning. And the reason why judges matter is because judges have a lot of power and discretion in deciding whether to release someone. And sometimes DAs back into society. And unfortunately, I've seen one too many times where a judge makes the wrong call and over my objection releases someone and gives that person a second chance when really that person did not deserve it, and that person posed a serious danger to the community. And time again, I've seen that same person then commit a crime, a very serious and violent crime, and now we have another victim, and that person's in court again. That is why we need judges who can make better decisions. We need judges who have a background in fighting for crime, fighting against crime, and fighting for our victims because we want to be in a safer LA. That's why judges really do matter.
OK，咁啊 Jacob 就話做法官呢個位點解咁重要咧？因為咧好重要決定呢個法官度啊。咁好多時咧嗰啲罪案犯咁啊捉翻嚟，但係咧法官又判咗佢可以又冇罪走翻出去喎。咁變咗佢見到好多時都係嗰啲罪案嗰啲咧都係重複又重複又重複，咁變咗佢係咁出去呢個城市市區，咁我哋都好唔安全咁啊。咁佢想咧就令到我哋住嘅地方安全啲啦，咁就真係要有罪就要判有罪。Can you give an example like what you just said about like the case, the people get released and come back and commit crime again and eventually something bad happen,
I will. There was this one defendant who had a history of violence, of assaulting people on the street. He was a homeless person in downtown LA, and he had several prior felony convictions for assault. But there's this particular judge who unfortunately gave this person another chance on probation and released him to the community. Basically, this defendant had assaulted yet another person, was back in court, was in jail, but then the judge gave this person a second chance, put him on probation, released him from custody, even though this person had many prior convictions. Well, guess what? This person went back out in the same downtown area and ended up assaulting my fellow DA friend and colleague. She's a very good friend of mine. Her name is Irene. This is all public news, and she shares this story very often. And this person assaulted her while she was on a lunch break going out to get lunch with her friend in downtown. This person comes back in court again, and unfortunately, the same exact judge released him yet again out into custody, out into society. And then that same person then ended up assaulting yet another person. Her name was Kim Glass, who is an Olympian volleyball player. And that became very big news. And this defendant went back into custody, was arrested, but now it was a much bigger deal because now my DA friend Irene was on the news explaining what had happened and how this could have been prevented had the judge made a better decision about that. And Kim Glass, that she could hopefully have not been a victim. And so that's a situation where, judges really do need to make the right call.
Yeah. So Jacob 咧就我問佢可唔可以俾個例子啦？頭先佢話即係好多呢啲罪惡犯咗罪，不停咁犯罪，又放翻出嚟，咁啊又即係好危險啦。咁舉咗例子咧，佢就話有一個流浪漢喺 LA downtown 啊，咁咧佢就之前就都有犯過罪噶啦，咁但係咧就坐咗監，咁出咗嚟咧就去 attack。都唔係 attack 嘅，即係去犯罪啦。對佢係佢個朋友嚟嘅喎。咁個女仔叫 Irene，咁咧就對佢侵犯啦。咁之後有 judge 竟然係話俾個 second chance 佢放翻佢出嚟。放咗出嚟之後咧，咁咧又出嚟，佢又去侵犯過另外一個女性。呢個女性咧，佢就揀錯人啦。呢個女性咧就係一個打排球係奧運金牌嘅排球女將嚟嘅。咁所以咧就好多新聞啊 news 啊都喺度報導呢件事。咁佢話如果個 judge 如果 make 咗個唔好嘅決定咧，就會即係累到呢個社會好危險啦。Yeah, it's scary because that woman could be me, could be your daughter, could be anybody, my daughter, right? It could be anybody. It's just it's scary. And so is there any consequences when he kind of cause all the trouble and when this happen?
Right. So for that particular particular defendant, based off of what I know, state prison probably would have been appropriate, just because this person had too much of a history of violence. And even though we do want to try our best to rehabilitate offenders and to give them a way to hopefully uh, uh, address their mental health issues, address their substance abuse issues, and to hopefully address their housing issues as well, because a lot of those issues often cause people to commit crimes, and crimes are basically a symptom of those underlying issues. So I do 100% understand that. But at a certain point, you need to balance um, the desire to want to rehabilitate the offender so that person doesn't commit another crime again with public safety. And at least in that particular example, it may have been wiser to outweigh our desire to want to rehabilitate that person with public safety and keep that person in custody. I do understand where the judge came from. I get it. But that's just an example of a situation where, um, at least right now, given the situation of LA, that we need to take a more stronger approach. And for that reason, I do believe I have the experience to bring that proper mindset to the bench.
That's great. It sounds good. I hope it happens soon, you know. Yeah，咁啊
Mm.
，Jacob 就話佢話嗰個 judge 咧，其實應該咧就去判佢坐監嘅。咁因為咧，佢話就算係有啲可以幫佢，佢明白有好多係房屋啊，同埋好多問題咧，佢哋係或者個監獄太多人啊，咁要佢哋去做啲另外嘅 program 去幫佢，咁但係呢個人真係犯罪得太多啦，其實一嚟就應該要擺佢入佢個監獄度啦。咁佢咧就話佢就會做啲比較仲更加強啲嘅policy，咁咧令到個 LA 個社會比較安全啲啦。Yeah, I think we really need it, and I really hope if you get elected, you can really take that action because be honest, I came to LA almost 30 years ago. I wasn't scared and I feel safe, but now I have to look over my shoulder, even get out of my house, So it's just, I don't like to live like that, right?
100%. I actually, just yesterday, I was speaking with a reporter who is Korean. It was a Korean newspaper I was interviewing with, and she was telling me her own story about how she was the victim of hate crime about 2 years ago. That was actually a reason why she decided to become a reporter. She became a reporter with that newspaper just about 2 years ago, is because she wanted to be vocal and have a voice and to really talk about the crime that's been happening in LA. So she was very interested in my run for judge and wanted to know more about me. So that's kind of how that started. But left and right, you see so many victims of crime, unfortunately, more so in the past few years. Unfortunately, there's a reason. And for example, to go off on a little tangent, right now in Oakland, there was a new DA who was appointed, or no, a new DA who won the election. And she has been very bad for Oakland. She was a criminal defense attorney, never had any background in being a prosecutor. She won barely against a veteran of the Oakland District Attorney's Office, a person who had been a deputy district attorney for over 30 years. And unfortunately, the defense attorney won. And Oakland since has been going downhill. And you know that also because of the big news recently that even In-N-Out, the In-N-Out restaurant, has decided to leave Oakland because there have been too many car burglaries there, and they did not want to have their employees and customers suffer through that. So they left. Oakland citizens, the citizens of Oakland are angry at what has been happening and how their city has been falling to crime. this is the story that we keep hearing over and over again with San Francisco, now Oakland, and even LA. And for there to be change, we need stronger judges as well, in addition to our DA mattering and of course our law enforcement.
Yeah，咁啊，Jacob 話點解要需要個更加強嘅法官啊？因為咧好似佢俾個 example 喺 Oakland 就係三藩市近啲嘅 city，咁咧就嗰度好多罪案嘅，咁都係因為有個 DA 亦都唔夠 strong 啦，咁令到好多罪案發生啦。咁而家做到三藩市又有啦，連LA 而家都有好多啦，咁所以我哋大家都係好彷徨嘅。Yeah, I can relate to your friend too, and you know the reporter because that's why I kind of set up the YouTube channel to raise a voice because you know I have a lot of friends who is a victim. Even me, you know, my car got broken into at the beginning of last year, and ever since I was just so scared every time I leave my car. And my friend, you can even stay at their own house after get robbed, you know. So it's just so many story like that, just too many. I just never heard about like something like that for many years. But for the past, I would say 3 years, we all feel it, right? It's just enough is enough. We just don't want to see it, don't want to happen. We really need help. That's why, you know, when I hear Gray Mitchell, the judge, and you and really want to help our community, I just really appreciate for all the effort you put in, you know. So let us know anything we can help you with later.
Absolutely. You know, the best way to help is really for all Asians to stick together. And what I mean by that is this, is, you know, as an immigrant myself, and growing up in a relatively poor area in Koreatown, Los Angeles, that's my hometown. I grew up there pretty much all my life. And I actually live just 5 minutes from Koreatown, even now as we speak, with my wife and my kids. But you know, it was we struggled growing up. We didn't have much money, and we also, I personally suffered a lot of hate as well, discrimination growing
Really?
up. Um, yeah, and that helped me understand. You know, this is a struggle that a lot of people face too, whether you're Asian or not. But the thing is that one of the big things about us Asians is unfortunately we don't have a strong voice in politics. We don't really have as much representation of Asians um, in judges or even higher political office or maybe even law enforcement and higher management. And now, you know, a lot of Asians are doing pretty well in business and are a little bit more affluent, but what we lack is a representation and a voice in politics, and also in higher management in these government positions. And that's exactly why I wanted to become a DA to begin with, to be part of that change and to move Asians a little bit more forward. Um, and so that we can have this voice. And so that's why you know, I'm very grateful that you're interviewing me like this because I would hope that we can try to, for all of us in the Asian community, to understand what's happening. And whenever we have a candidate who also has the same type of upbringing and background, that we need to support that person so that I can also give back to the community and to keep empowering our fellow members of our Asian community. You know, I have been a very big part of the Korean Prosecutors Association, for example, since 2015. And I have spoken at many events. As a matter of fact, just a few months ago, for the Asian community, talking about hate crime. Um, and you know, that's very important because I do feel that unfortunately Asians are a little bit marginalized. We just don't have as strong of a voice, and we need to change that.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's why, you know, we all want to do more, you know, and I appreciate, you know, you put all that time and effort. I know it's not easy, you know, doing a campaign is a lot of work, and it just you have to have the passion, right, to help people, and especially you kind of the victim of the hate crime, and you kind of know how it feels to be that victim. And thank you for helping all Asian, you know, to raise the voice. We do need more Asian official to be, you know, in the government. I think that will be really helpful. 係啦，咁啊 Jacob 咧就話因為佢喺Korean Town 住啦，佢而家都係咁 Korean Town 咧就其實都唔係好安全嘅，咁咧但係佢就所以佢由細到大亦都唔係話家境好富裕啦，咁咧所以咧就有好多人咧都會即係。hate crime 即係種族歧視咁樣啦，對佢咁佢所以知道咧，即係唔容易，好難受嘅。咁所以佢想做呢個DA 啦，咁啊去呢個政府咁啊幫啲亞洲人會出聲啦，因為好多而家亞洲人都係個聲唔夠大啊，咁啊所以應該要大聲啲，咁先至話俾人聽我哋嘅需要啊，同埋點樣幫助到我哋啦。咁 yeah, so thank you for all the time and you know, concern and very with your campaign. So we look forward to seeing you to running your get elected, and we can all celebrate with your to become the judge and really help us, you know, especially Asian, you know, to raise our voice. Anything concern happen, then we don't have to be afraid, right, to speak. Yeah, so we can just really
Absolutely.
yeah, be open, and we won't have to be a victim anymore. So yeah, really appreciate that, and especially right before your trip. Yeah.
I know. Thank you so much for making the time to talk with me. You know, the Chinese American community is has been a very big part of my life, by the way. You know, half of my friends in college, I went to UC Berkeley, and half
Oh,
of
my
my
son
friends
too.
were Chinese. You know,
That's why you told us
yeah, they
about
grew up.
Oakland, right?
Yeah,
Oakland.
yeah, exactly.
When you talk about
So, I mean,
Oakland, yeah, when you talk about Oakland, I was worried because my son hanging out in Oakland all the time at UC Berkeley. You know, I was like, oh. And it's
yeah,
worse than
it's
worse the time you went to school before, right? Now is the worse than before, right?
yeah. Right now, it's way worse than it
Yeah,
was when I went to college there.
yeah.
My friends lived in Oakland after college, and I visited Oakland all the time. It was actually pretty decent many years ago, but obviously with the new DA, with a very criminal defense background and wanting to be very progressive, but in a very bad way, has unfortunately made Oakland go downhill. But
Yeah, I went to
yeah,
visit
you
my
know, so I
son.
just want to say that
Yeah, scary.
yeah, I have a very uh, deep connection with the Chinese American community. A lot of my friends are Chinese. They grew up in places like Arcadia, Monterey Park, and you know, I think Chinese Americans, Korean Americans, and pretty much any Asian for that matter, I
Yeah.
believe we understand what's happening. You know, we because a lot of our family members are you know, business owners, and they've been affected by the LA riots, for example, in the case of the Korean community, or various retail theft.
Were you
And so
born
we know
yet?
a lot
The
of people
LA
who have been
riot?
suffering.
The LA riot. Were you
I
born?
was. I know, right? I actually was. I was a young kid at the time,
Oh,
and I
okay.
remember how crazy it was.
No, I know that is just why in Korean town. I remember the guy in the roof and having the like the shotgun. This is really scary. That's why I'm like, if you live in Korean town, you have to be tough, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, thank you for all the time you know you spend with us and sharing, and good luck with everything, and keep a post how's everything's going, and also if you have time, come back. I'm sure in March 5th, 20 this year. So getting close. So you're probably very busy, but yeah. So if you have time, you have anything update, welcome to share with us. Thank you.
Absolutely. I'll definitely keep you updated, whether you like it or not. And
Oh,
again, it was so great to meet you recently, and I hope that we can keep connecting. And
sure.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
thank you
Let us
again.
know anything you need help. So we'll be there for you. Yeah. So we have to be all united, right? So we can raise our voice, become all in one, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you very much.
Um,
Thank
all
you.
right. Have a good one.
You too. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye. Hi，多謝大家收睇我嘅節目，記得 subscribe and 俾 like 啦。